I am Stephanie Dillon Ham.
My name's Bill Ham, William, but I go by Bill. And again, we're here to encourage people to learn about the bone marrow failure diseases.
We hold these 5Ks and patient family walks called March for Marrow. The purpose for us is we have 5 purposes: educating the public, creating community for people who have these diseases. It's very lonely. Raise funds for the patient family services, which are free, for better treatments, and eventually maybe someday a cure. Recruit people to the National Marrow Donor Program. And also to make sure people know the best source for medical care in or around their community. Our story centers around our oldest son. Garret was from Thailand. He was 8 years old. He came into our family. He was a dynamo of an athlete. He was 16. So they were out on the field in their cut-off shirts. And we were just so fortunate that a parent was there, one of the mothers who was a doctor. She noticed that Garret was forming these bruises all over his back because he had this short cut-off shirt. And she told the coach, "Get Garret Ham off the field until his parents take him to see a doctor."
And we took him to the base because, being military, I went to the flight surgeon's office. They'd never seen a case like this, and as I mentioned previously, this is very rare. So we were there in Wichita Falls for several years, and then he graduated and went out to California. And in California, he came down with the first instances of aplastic anemia out there. Our daughter was also out there going to UCLA, and she took him to the UCLA Medical Center.
And it was really a crisis situation. I mean, he collapsed, but he just was not well. And she loaded him into the car, took him to the emergency room, and sure enough, they gave him a diagnosis of aplastic anemia. Towards the end, we were taking care of Garret. He had gotten married, he'd had a little boy, and all he wanted to do was live, to see him grow up. That was his goal in life. It didn't happen, but that was his goal, and that's what kept him fighting so hard. He was very embarrassed to be sick, so he was with Champs Sporting Goods and going through their management training and moving all over Texas to take management jobs. He would not tell them that he was sick. I think he thought that he would get fired if he told them he was sick. So he would work really hard for about 3.5 weeks and then take off for an infusion of blood. Bone marrow failure patients do have to go on particular treatments. One of the things are blood transfusions. And we found out, we thought, great, okay. So he does this every 3 or 4 weeks. No, because you have this buildup of iron on your major organs, and then you get weaker and weaker, they can't function, and you pass away for that. Garret was a beautiful man, just beautiful, but he was sick, and you could not tell. That's another thing, you can't tell till they try to just walk upstairs, and that 24, 25-year-old man will look like he's 90. So Garret passed away in 1997. Many people say to me, well, you just do these races and walks because you want to keep your son alive. Nothing could be farther from the truth. In that, I and my husband, Bill, we don't want anyone going through what we went through. His perplexity, his anger, his depression, our feeling like we were failing as parents because we couldn't find the answer. This is one of the reasons that Bill and I are so passionate about this work. What we do is that parents don't know how to recognize these diseases, and quite frankly, doctors a lot of times don't know how to recognize and diagnose them. So anyway, African Americans, very low percentage in the National Marrow Donor Program. Latinos, Hispanics, South Americans, even Spaniards, very low participation. So those racial differences can make it more difficult to have a bone marrow transplant. It's very helpful that groups be passionate about having bone marrow drives. You know, doctors want a support group like ours because they need eyes on our rare group so that they get the dollars for research. Patients and family members want focus on this because they are hungry for information. When you go to a conference, what do you think the conversation is about? It's about how much how many red blood cells they have, how many white blood cells, their platelet count. I never knew that marrow produced blood cells. Yeah, I never knew that. Marrow produces blood cells. So when it gets fibrous and coarse, it can no longer produce healthy blood cells, and that's where we are with that. I mean, you can go be tested once, and it's in the National Marrow Donor Program registry for the rest of your life.
And one thing you can do is go online, as everybody does. We didn't have that opportunity, as Stephanie mentioned early in Garrett's illness, but aamds.org. If nothing else, we want to get more people out there and more support for the people who are ill with bone marrow failure disease and their families.